I was always told by my mother that I should be a lawyer. And it was mostly because growing up, I grew up in Santana on 4th and Grand. And there were a lot of issues in the community. And there were a lot of issues that I cared about. And there were a lot of issues that I verbalized my concern about those issues to her. Being a child, you really don't have an audience. Hello, my name is Elizabeth Macias. I'm in Orange County Superior Court. I've been on the bench since December of 2012.
Judge Macias is the third Latina appointed to the bench in California, currently a supervising judge for the Central Panel, having just been promoted in January of 2016. She was the first in her family to graduate high school and college, and she has her mother to thank for it.
I think she recognized and appreciated my view of things and my ability to articulate my view. And so she would always say, you should be a lawyer.
It would be some time before she pursued that dream, however. After high school, she was accepted into Cal State Fullerton and graduated with a bachelor's degree in Chicano Studies and Psychology. But during that time,
my goal had been to be as a psychology major, to be a psychologist. And in the process, I would volunteer my summers to work with migrant education. And these were a lot of kids whose parents work out in the fields. And in order to give them an opportunity to feel what college is like, we had Project BEST, which is Basic Educational Skills for Tomorrow. Those kids started to get into trouble once they completed the program. And I started to realize in the process that they were not bad kids, they were just in difficult life circumstances, and that they needed somebody such as myself that A, had been there, B, knew them, and C, wanted to help them. And that's really where I started to think that maybe going to law school was a better option for me.
Where did you decide to go to law school for your degree?
Well, this is an interesting story in terms of the decision, and I'll tell you why. My husband and I had dated since I was a freshman in high school. And having dated for 8 years, we decided we were going to get married right before going off to law school. So in the process of getting ready for the wedding, we went to Los Angeles to gather some supplies. And as I stood on a corner in downtown LA with the hustle and bustle and the crowds and the noise, I turned and I looked at my husband and I said, I don't belong in New York. I don't belong in LA. So we had both received acceptances in San Diego, and that's how I decided to go to California Western School of Law. I grew up in many ways feeling like I wasn't a minority because I grew up in Santana. And so it was a culture shock to go to San Diego. And, my husband and I sometimes lived on one meal a day, and you just had to make do with what you had. But it's not easy.
For all the hardships, it was worth it. In the courtroom, she found a place where she could represent and be an advocate for change, not only for her clients, but for herself. What was the moment where you felt just very like, this is the right choice, this is what got me here?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because I don't know that I ever thought about it. Mm-hmm. I think it might have been the first time that I walked into the courtroom wearing a suit and saying, Elizabeth Macias on behalf of Mr. So-and-so and the Federal Public Defender's Office. And it all seemed so real. And it all seemed so important and meaningful. I'd also often complained about the fact that there were not enough Latino and Latina judges on the bench. And I thought that if I was complaining, I should do something about it and submit my application.
Now she upholds justice, and though the burdens of her job can be straining, she continues to rule with the law and live with her heart.
What I do, to me, is greater than just being one person, but rather representing a community. And to not just do it when on the bench, but off the bench. That's what saved my marriage, because I would come home and all the fight was out of me. I just wanted to go home and get along with everybody. So out of that came the statement that I would often make at home, which is, haters outside, nothing but love inside this home. That's the last place where you want to feel judgment. And so that's why I have that role, not only with my husband, but with my children.
in Santa Ana High School, you're having the law studies wing named after you?
They thought that my story resonated with the kids at Santa Ana High School, and it was because of that that I agreed.
Through the Legal Studies Academy, Judge Macias can be the guide she never had for these young high school students by helping them gain access to college and law school. Ever looking ahead in life with positivity and cheerfulness, Judge Macias left us with some parting advice.
My kids laugh at me whenever they blow a candle on a birthday cake because I always say, wish for happiness. All too often when people see those that have successful careers, they can never imagine how difficult it was for them to get there. And the moments that they had where they had to dig deep to keep going. We've all been there. And don't for a second think that when you doubt yourself, when somebody closes a door, when somebody says no, that they haven't been there, because they have. So you just have to tell yourself, regroup, dig deep, and keep going, because you're going to ultimately reach your goal and happiness.
Whatever she achieves next, the Honorable Judge Elizabeth Macias will continue to shine as an example worth following.